Hey, Mario Mania. I'm glad you're the first person to join. Welcome. Just trying to get a good camera angle. Still, because of the movie, I've been unpacking so many things because the movie required so much, you know, stuff for the sets like lighting and red drapery and tape and props and masks, and it goes on and on. So it's a lot of things I've recycled throughout the years. So it's stuff that I've had for a long time, and I'm finally able to use them. It's like years ago, like back even like in high school, and I would see things at a party store, and I'd be like, "Ooh, that would be cool for one of my movies in the future," and never got around to use that prop or whatever until a certain film, and you know, so um, I've been doing that anyway. Completed filming an add-in scene for the movie on Sunday, and I'm working on right now a behind-the-scenes featurette of the movie. Basically, all the videos that I've uploaded and everything for the Double Servants, I'm just kind of putting together into one thing. Anything that I haven't included in there. So, because the next behind the scenes for that movie will be like a bloopers and gag reel kind of thing where it's going to show a lot of the funny, bloopers, which we don't get to see enough of that in movies now and stuff. And I still love bloopers and gag reels. Um, I don't think it's necessary for every movie I make. I don't necessarily want people to see bloopers, gag reels to every single movie I make. That's why I don't. I'm very picky on which movie I'll allow bloopers. But it's fun, to have that. And some gag reels just feel very um, forced and not real. So my gag reels are 100% real. And, that's exactly what happened on set. So it's very authentic, and that's why I love my bloopers. I think I'm going to release a gag reel of Ghostface story one day. The Miner versus Jason, a Ghostface story. I think I'm going to release and that'll be literally like 10 to 15 minutes of bloopers, because Ghostface story is a long movie. Yeah, it's 40 minutes, but originally the movie's like over an hour. If you think about everything that's trimmed, all the scenes that are trimmed and shortened and everything, it's a it felt like a full length movie. Um, but the bloopers are massive in that film. And then I don't know if I should make the gag reel black and white, or if I should make the gag reel in color. You know, I wonder how people would react to seeing the movie in color through a gag reel. Because people are so used to that movie just being in black and white. And I think I might release a colored version of it, down the road. Honestly, because maybe it'll get better responses. Even though I thought the black and white worked for that film, I don't know if it worked for everybody else. Especially my sister. She likes that movie, but she doesn't like the black and white. She was like, why are you making it black and white? And then this generation is, you know
Uh, why is why is it black and white? Why is it not in color? But some things are meant to be in black and white. That's how some movies look so good. Is that black and white, effect. That's why I love Citizen Kane and Psycho and all those classics. And all the old monster movies and you know. Then there's Schindler's List, or there's all these, great films in black and white. Um, it's yeah, you know. Too bad people aren't more open minded to a black and white film just because it's black and white. What about the movie itself and the acting and the story and all that? I try to look past that when I'm watching a black and white film because it's more so is the movie good or not? And sometimes colors in a movie can be distracting, for a scene. And black and white, it doesn't do that. So actually, when I was watching Zack Snyder's Justice League, I really enjoyed watching it in black and white. It felt very, um, I mean, it kind of reminded me of like Batman, or like and like Cyborg. Like that's what the black and white was supposed to represent. Um, and you can just see everything so well, and also it's not all these gritty, dark colors that Zack Schneider always uses. So black and white was pretty cool. Um, but yeah, it doesn't work for every movie, not for every film. So I'm basically making a live stream for Tuesday night. I haven't live streamed on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday or Thursday in a long time. Um, and I just feel like live streaming, because now I'm in the editing process of Devil Servants. I'm now putting together that movie, and and that's been a lot of fun. Um, but it's um, it's nice to talk to my subscribers, and talk about what's going on. So it's not just yeah. All right, I have a question for you, Mario Mania. How am I able to share my screen through this live chat thing, or whatever? Like what are like the cool things I can do on this on like live chat, live stream, where it's not going to be always just me talking, you know, um, and that's that. Like I would love to be able to show. I love to be able to share my screen and show some clip of my movie or something to people. Maybe that'll be more interesting. It's not just me talking. I think as I'm not like a very animated person, maybe I'm not as interesting to watch. But I don't know. I think you can get on certain types of software. I'm not sure the names of the. Yeah, I know it's like I have to get this software, and I don't even know where to start. And I feel like they're gonna make these options. I'm sick of my glasses. Sorry for reflection. I'm just I wish they would give us easier options to how to do all this. Because there's some people like me, they're kind of still rookie to some of this stuff because this wasn't on YouTube 10 years ago. It's completely different YouTube than it was, in 2009. So I'm still like, I'm still living in that YouTube 2009, 10, 11 era, 2012 even. I still, I think that was like my favorite time of YouTube, even though, we still ran into copyright stuff at the time and this and that and that. Um, but probably the best of YouTube was right when it came out, like 2000, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like those were probably like the best years. 2010. 2010 was probably the last good year because by 2011, that's when they released the likes and dislikes. So you had the 5-star rating for like 5 years. So I think YouTube had a good 5-year run, and then it just kind of turned into another site like Facebook or Twitter. It was no longer special, like it once felt. It's sterile now. It's very sterile now, not really community focused. No, no, it's not community focused really. And that's really too bad because it used to be, and it used to be a place where it's like, hey, make whatever fan film you want, include whatever music file you want, do whatever you want to do with this movie. And now that was before all the audio swap stuff. you know There was one time it was really funny because back then, fan films were still new. So sometimes, if like it looked really real, if a trailer came out, a fan trailer would come out of the movie, uh, where it would say like Michael Myers versus Jason, or something like that, Michael versus Jason, and the trailer looked absolutely real. YouTube would actually block it because they thought it was an actual real trailer that was leaked online or something. So that's like the history of YouTube back then, and that's just the fact I can say I lived to see that, because a lot of Gen Zs, they don't know, how simple this site used to be. Um, yes, I remember following very several. Sorry, I remember falling for several fake trailers back in the day. LOL. Yeah, that was a fun time in YouTube where you'd see a trailer and it was like, is this real? You know, and it was just that excitement of like, is this real? And having to double check that it's real was an exciting thing. And now it's like, if it's a fan trailer or not. You can just tell. By this point, it's like, yep, that's fan made. You can just by a certain shot or certain, lighting of a scene or an actor, it's like, yep, this is fan made, you know. And I don't think fan trailers are as good as they used to be. I think trailer editors were better back in my day on YouTube. Not my day. I'm talking about like 2010, 11, 12 here. I'm not even talking about ancient times. But like it does feel ancient compared to now, unless I'm crazy. But uh, there was a lot of great trailer editors back then, like for videos and like there was so much better back then than now. I honestly like it was besides like, and it's only because we have upgraded software now, like VHS quality or like old film quality. Like you get more of that in fan trailers now that you couldn't 10 years ago. But overall, trailer editors to me personally were way better back in 2000, like, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 era, that time. They just, I don't know, like there was so many. I would subscribe to so many of them. Because I was rarely ever disappointed. There were some of those fan trailers that weren't like the best, you're kind of like, yeah. But now, there's a lot of fan trailers out there where you feel like they work on it, but they don't like try to perfection it, you know? There's some fan videos I see that are like absolutely incredible. Don't get me wrong. There's still amazing content on YouTube from that stuff, but I don't see it as relevant or as noticeable as it once did. Uh, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I don't know, through my experience of YouTube, seeing all these YouTubers and editors throughout time, you really see that it hasn't degraded. It's just kind of degraded a little bit. It feels like the site recommends you the same content over and over. Years ago, you could discover so much new content. Now it's like they actively try to hide it. Yeah, yeah. When I joined YouTube, it felt like a site where I could do whatever I wanted to do, um, and I had no limitations of uh, what I could do. And as time went on with YouTube more and more, it was kind of like, oh no, you can't do this, or you can't say this in your movie. It kind of took me out of the experience, and made it a lot more stressful because I remember having to re-edit some videos because of audio swap and trying to add different. Because also the YouTube editing system is not good. It's never been good because like they offer you all these music songs to put in your video, but then if you do, then you lose all of your dialogue audio of the video. You don't. So, like, all that talking stuff is, like, gone. It's not like, "Oh, we're gonna remove the song out of your video, and you can replace it with another one." Like a really good software on the site, you know, they've done nothing impressive like that before, in my opinion. They do this and they do that, They get rid of the five-star rating system, but then they don't make it easier for editors on YouTube to change things, if there's like a copyright situation. Because what if that person no longer has that file, or whatever, they pin people in a corner and like, what do I do now? And you have to remove all this content, and it's like, oh, now I have to start over and figure something out or go back to this old file that I don't even know where it is because it's been 3, 4, 5 years. Now all of a sudden YouTube is telling me to remove or change something 10 years later. What would have happened if I wasn't using my YouTube channel for a long time? Would it be gone? It's scary stuff, that it changes consistently throughout time, and you have to always be careful of, you know, your content, and making sure that it fits, the site and the guidelines and everything. Yes, I can't even imagine how frustrating it is for creators. I know, like, you know, 10 years ago, like, YouTubers could do whatever they wanted, pretty much. Not everything, but pretty much everything. And, either and if you didn't like it, then you would just wouldn't watch that channel anymore. But now it's, I could go on about all this for like hours and hours and hours, but I'm not going to about the rise and fall of YouTube. Um, because there literally is a rise and fall. But like, we do have still good YouTubers on the site. We have a lot of good creators. So I don't want to say that the site is like gone or like a full on failure, because we still have a lot of YouTubers on here, and people putting in effort and trying, and still releasing good content. So it's not like the site is dead. It's just it's not so much the content creators or anything. It's not them. It's the site. It's how it's set up. It's the features. It's how YouTube deals with copyright and pretty much everything. It's those kind of things that are the problem, not the creators necessarily. But, but this live stream is to talk about movies, TV shows, and video games, because there's people I know that don't like movies. There's people I know that don't like TV, and some people I know that don't like video games. It's kind of over the place with people. So I thought I'd just kind of talk about all three of them. So there's not like a limit to the video of what to talk about. So Mario Mania, feel free to ask me a question, or anybody feel free to ask me a question about a movie, a game, or a TV show, and we can start that conversation if you guys want. Okay. Have you seen the Northman? No, no. What's it about? I'm going to see the Black Phone soon. That movie looks incredible, and all the reviews that are coming out about that movie. I'm so excited for the Black Phone. I'm going to be seeing that soon. I'm really excited. But anyway, It's a really good Viking film from the director who did The Witch and The Lighthouse. Oh, the director of The Lighthouse. Oh, wow. Okay. Um, I'll have to check that out. Is it on any streaming service? Is it on HBO Max or Netflix or Hulu or any of those? Paramount Plus. Guys, there's that many streaming services now. Let's go back 3 years ago where it was just Netflix. It was literally just Netflix for years and years and years and years, and now we have like you know in the blink of an eye everything, all these like literally before you know it's gonna be like 20 different streaming services. Sony's gonna create a streaming service, and and probably MGM, like, or not, I don't know. I just feel like every single studio that hasn't done it yet is going to do it. But it's really good. Oh, message retracted. Okay. It might be. It just came out on Blu-ray slash 4K. Okay, so it's still a fairly new movie. The newest horror film that I've seen that really freaked me out was X from A24. Uh, that was really good though. I actually really like that movie. I thought Ty West did a really good writing and directing job. He made you feel very grossed out, uh, and it was I think well acted and filmed and edited, and there was like a lot of build up and suspense to everything that was happening in that film. And yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit because first viewing I was like so at the edge of my seat and kind of like what is going to happen, and not many horror movies that I watch now make me feel that way where I'm like what's happening, what's going to happen here. And uh, I was just consistently at the edge of my seat of that film. So huge thanks to X for scaring me when I watched that this year. Um, but yeah, I would say that's like the newest horror film that I've seen. That's that's like known a lot lately. But I want to see the Black Phone and of course other horror movies coming out this year. Um, and yeah, I highly recommend X. Yeah, X is a really good horror film, and I think it's underrated. Honestly, in my opinion, I think it's way better than so many horror films that come out. Like I feel like this movie had a lot of tension and build up and so much suspense that it's just I don't know. It was different from a lot of other horror, and also it felt like a Friday film mixed with like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It just had like that sort of 70s, like yeah, that 70s, early 80s or what kind of vibe to it, and it had a little bit of that Rob Zombie element to it, but like in a but it was good. And Tyler Bates did the music, which like wow, Tyler Bates did the music, and he did awesome with the music of this movie. Like there were moments where I was like, "That's Tyler Bates. That's Tyler Bates. That's his music right there." So, um, I highly recommend it, and as well as the Black Phone. Yeah, I can. I'm probably gonna do a review of that movie. I know I haven't reviewed movies this year, like the Batman. I didn't review that. I didn't review. Um, the re-release of The Godfather, or Doctor Strange, or other movies that I've seen this year so far. But I don't know. I feel like there hasn't been a movie yet for me to like review, to really talk about yet. Um, and I don't know. Maybe I think the Black Phone will probably change my mind because I Sinister. I went crazy when I first watched that, and Sinister was the first movie I ever saw in the theater that was rated R by myself. Because when I turned 17, then I was able. I had an ID and I could show that, and they let me in, and it was like a surreal experience. to see a rated R movie by myself like that. And that was my first like horror movie rated R by myself in the theater experience, Sinister. And I just remember going crazy when I watched that movie. I was like, "Oh my god, this is horrifying, but so good though." And of course, was hoping for a sequel after when that movie ended. And then I remember the Halloween re-release trailer playing. It was like the first Halloween re-release of the original. Um, for the first time, at least in my area, because growing up, uh, uh, there was never a re-release for Halloween, and nobody ever talked about a re-release. But 2012 was like the first time they ever premiered a re-release of the movie. Now, when I went to see the re-release of it, I was very disappointed actually because it wasn't the whole screen filled up when I watched the movie, and so they basically had to use the curtains to kind of like have it look a certain way. And then, it was a DVD file or DVD of the 2007, quality version. It was and the sound was horrible, and it was like you're so excited to see your first, re-release of Halloween, the original, and you go into it, and it's like the worst experience you've ever had watching the movie, and it's like, "Wow, I'm watching it on a big screen. Why am I not enjoying this movie more?" Um and I have more better memories of the original Halloween watching it at home than I do at the theater. Now, of course, re-releases as they went on, like I think there was a re-release in 2013, and then there was in 2016, and those were really good re-releases. I thought those were a lot better, especially the 2016 one was amazing because Dean Cundy was like involved with that re-release, and it was just amazing. The quality was absolutely amazing and the sound, and I was like, "Oh my god. This is how the first experience of seeing this movie should have been in the theater." But I'm just happy to see the original Halloween on the big screen, you know? Anyway, I still listen to the Sinister score, the music in fantastic in those 8 millimeter films. Yes, the music is fantastic in those 8 millimeter films. I listened to that score all the time when it came out, Sinister. I would listen to that all the time. I think I would just try to scare myself just by listening to the music because I just wanted to, I don't know, sometimes feel scared um, by it. But it was just such good music. And then I remember wanting to include it in Destiny Ghostface Part 1 and Part 2, and I actually did. A couple tracks are in Destiny Part 1 and I think there's one in Destiny Part 2 because I just thought the Sinister soundtrack was just score was just so incredible. Christopher Young is one of my favorite music composers and probably I'd almost say he's my favorite horror movie composer. Like, aside from icons John Carpenter and, you know, um, those names. Um, Christopher Young, he scored Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and Sinister and so many other horror films and other movies as well. And his music is just so great. He builds tension and atmosphere with his music. You feel a lot of tension and all that when you uh, hear his music. Like he tells the story through his music. You can tell, you can feel that the music is trying to lead you to somewhere with the plot, and that's just the magic of Christopher Young's music and the horror films that I've seen that I've heard his music. So now, what do you guys think about um, if they make a Leprechaun movie with Warwick Davis? I heard a lot of rumors, not rumors, but I heard a lot of stuff last year um, that some director was expressing interest in making a Leprechaun movie, and going back to the Warwick Davis old movie days, of like the earlier films and that humor. Uh, I guess he wants to make a film like that. I would love to see another Leprechaun movie, even though it would be. I always thought it'd be cool if we got like a serious Leprechaun movie, like scary. Like basically Warwick Davis, but like he's terrifying and the tone is terrifying and the characters are, it's not cheesy. There's like no cheese factor. It's like straight up serious and scary. And I always wanted to see that interpretation of Leprechaun, the same design and everything, just a serious film, a serious tone and to me, like I would like any certain parts wherever Warwick Davis would be scary as Leprechaun. It's like, could you imagine that the whole film, that intensity, you know? Um, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. Growing up with those films, I just was just like, why can't they just make a simple, scary Leprechaun film instead of making all these cheesy sequels? To me, Warwick Davis, is such a great actor. Um, he was sort of like, like he deserved better for the character in that series, my opinion. There should have been a little bit more seriousness in those films. Even though there's always those movies that are just meant to be laughed at, like Spaceballs and stuff like that. But to me, Leprechaun, I see a lot of potential, in that character, and that world, and it's just kind of like, does it always have to be cheesy, you know? But I've actually never seen any of the Leprechaun films. Really? Wow. Well, I'd recommend them. Um, at least the first two, because then it gets a lot cheesier after the first two. But the third one's fun though, because it's in Vegas. So there's something kind of cool about that. Um, I know a lot of people like Leprechaun in Space. That's a very controversial one. Um, and then there's Leprechaun in the Hood, Leprechaun Back to the Hood. A lot of people's favorite is Leprechaun in the Hood. Back to the Hood is one of my favorites. And then they made that prequel one, Leprechaun Origins, which was really bad. And then they made that Leprechaun Returns, which, wasn't perfect by any means, but I enjoyed it somewhat because it had a lot of nostalgia from the first movie. Leprechaun, even though Warwick Davis, at least it was practical effects and it was a Leprechaun movie and it wasn't, whatever that previous film was. Uh, so at least Leprechaun Returns went back to what Leprechaun used to be, what the so like all the goofy humor and all that like came, that was all back. Uh, I think that's why I enjoyed it more than maybe other people because I was so angry by that prequel film, Leprechaun Origins. Just to get a Leprechaun movie again was just a breath of fresh air to me. It was sort of like how I reacted to Curse of Chucky when that came out, because you know, Chucky wasn't being treated seriously for a long time, and I wanted to see Chucky scary again, like the first three films, and they brought that back. Um, and then they continue that on with Cult of Chucky and the show. Chucky is a lot more serious than he was, and in Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky, he's a lot more scarier. Um, and I love that because Chucky should be scary. He's still funny, which is awesome, but he's a lot more intimidating and frightening than he once was for a long time. Because they sort of made his character a joke or a product for a long time. Uh, Spencer's would always be selling the Bride of Chucky dolls, of the characters, never the original, you know. But yeah, and I remember hearing for years growing up, people were like, "Oh, I want the old Child's Play. I want the old style." They didn't want a remake. People weren't talking about a reboot. People just wanted a sequel that was like the original. And I agreed. And Curse of Chucky to me went back to a lot of that. Um, and Cult of Chucky took it other places, and that's sort of a controversial film as well. Um, but it sort of to me like helps the show a bit of like understanding the whole multiple Chuckies and all that. So the, that movie definitely helped with that. Um, and I'm excited for season two. I'm really excited for season two of that show. I didn't even know we were going to get a season two. I thought it was just going to be one season, and it was just to wrap up everything. That would have been another Chucky movie. So, but that show was awesome. The music was awesome. The you know, wow, it's just yeah, like the pacing, the acting, the um just like Brad Dourif was just awesome in the show. He reminds me a lot of how he was in the earlier films, and that's just what I love about it. Is it went back a lot to how Child's Play used to be, but it wasn't super cheesy and stuff. It had a more serious tone to it, and the story really went places that you wouldn't expect, and you had all those flashbacks, and it was just kind of like wow. This is Sci-Fi Channel. Know, it's absolutely incredible. I agree. Curse was a real return to form. Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it a lot when that came out in 2013. I remember getting the Blu-ray right away. I was so excited and was not disappointed. I was like, "Wow, this is really great," and ended up being, the more I watched it, the more I enjoyed it, and I think that's why certain people were mad at Cult of Chucky because it wasn't the same kind of movie. And that's what made Curse of Chucky work was that it was just a home invasion film, and you're not really used to that with a Chucky film. Usually Chucky's going here and here and here and here and here, you know, and Curse of Chucky, it's all set in this mansion. But I think that's what was so great about it. It was all set in just in this gigantic house. And the elevator, was just like the elevator in the first movie, at Andy's old apartment. It had that nostalgia factor to it, and to me, the elevator was they made the elevator horrifying in that movie. Um, and yeah, it was greatly shot, and like um, you can tell the creator learned a lot from Seed of Chucky. He learned a lot from his filmmaking with that film. So it was just to me, it was a bringing everything back to basics of the original film, and trying to combine it with everything that's happened. So it wasn't like retconning everything from the previous movies. It was just kind of enhancing things. And see, and that's what sequels should do. You can kind of do a soft reboot, even though it's a direct sequel to a previous movie. A lot of they do so much requels now where it's like, oh, we're gonna ignore everything but the first movie. And sequels back then wouldn't do that. They wouldn't just retcon stuff. Sometimes they would, but it wouldn't be like as much now. And the filmmaker would just explain what happened in the last movie and then just kind of move on and try to make it a better film or whatever. And now it's like, nope, because the last movie was so bad, we're gonna instead of enhance those flaws, we're just gonna completely get rid of all these movies and sorry. So I think that is what was cool about the new Scream movie is that it sort of poked fun at the requel element, of all these movie franchises now, and going into all these soft reboots and stuff. Um, I think that's why the movie's called Scream and not Scream Five because I think that's kind of like the humor of the title, because it's kind of like the killers in that movie are trying to make it, something separate, you know. I don't know. I think the title is clever now. I didn't understand why it wasn't called Scream 5 when it was coming out, but now I do. But it's the first movie, if you think about it, that's ever gone into requels, and has any of that ever been explored or talked about, Um, Scream has always been the first to go into all that stuff, sequels, trilogies, reboots, requels, what is next with movies, because I wonder, like, what is going to be the next of films, and what is a Scream movie going to do with that, you know it's kind of interesting. um, but I would like to see a different motive with the Scream films in the future. I don't think every Scream movie has to have a meta vibe to it. You ah, you of course have to keep certain elements for a Scream movie. You have to respect the original. But doesn't mean you have to go full meta on it. It's okay to take it a little more seriously. The Scream show kind of show that you could show that you can take the story in certain places, and it can work. So hopefully with these new films, they do more with the characters that we've never seen with the Scream films. They kind of make it even more real. I don't know. I don't know would be the word, but that they flesh these characters out really well. They develop these characters really well. Um, and that's hard to do that in a 2-hour movie. If you notice, Scream movies are long. They're not an hour and 20-minute film. They're 2 hours. And it goes by like that. So I think that's why I sort of like the idea of Scream being a show, because it gives it more time. Gives you have more time with the characters and stuff. And honestly, I would love to see that. Instead of a Scream 7, I would love to see Scream 7 as a show, and with these, big name actors, and get like a 6-part, series, or 8-part series, or something like that. And, you know, we we get more time with the characters, and everything that's happening. Um, I would just love to see that with that really big Hollywood production value, just like, yeah, some sort of mini series. It's like 4 or 5 episodes, and it just kind of gives you more time, with I mean, look at Stranger Things, like all these episodes are like an hour and 30 minutes long, or 2 hours, they could easily do something, 4 or 5 episodes that are like super long, and I would love to see that with, yeah, the original cast. I just think that'd be really cool. I think Scream works as TV. Um, Halloween, of course, couldn't work as a TV show because it's a certain structure. It's only in one night, and there's only so much you can do with that. You know, Same with Friday the 13th. You could never make that a TV show. Uh, Now, A Nightmare on Elm Street, yes, you could make that a TV show easily. Um, it would be a little tricky, but like, could you imagine today, like an HBO Max Nightmare on Elm Street TV show with Robert Englund, and it's like 8 episodes, and got like high production value, and it's like it's a super, like, HBO Max, and you get scenes that you would have that you never got with those original movies, and it like has a mix of like all of the films, and it's just kind of like continuation, I guess, of like the old films, but like, you know done through HBO Max style. I almost think that would be cooler than a movie, because you would have more time with Robert Englund, in the episodes. I think that would be super, super, super cool. But what do you think about the Scream 6 situation? I'm kind of speechless, to be honest. Scream 6 was pre-planned before Scream 5 came out. The script was already being worked on. So people working on it already were aware that there would be a sixth film if the fifth movie did well. Um, so it is kind of surprising that, there's so many issues with the movie. Well, there's two big ones. There's that one where they're trying to get Hayden Panettiere to Canada and they can't, which would mean that they would have to film the movie in America. So they'd have to, obviously move everything to America to film her scenes. There's no way that they're, like, I mean, I, it just frustrates me that that news about Hayden Panettiere, oh man, like they have to figure something out there. There's no way that you can just, you know, cut her from the movie after announcing her big return and everything. It's just no. And I love Kirby from Scream 4. I watched Scream 4 all the time back when I was in high school. She was always my favorite character. There's just no way you can, no. Um, and then now there's a whole Nev Campbell situation where she didn't feel like, she was getting paid, the amount that she deserves. So she walked away. She made a post, like it sounded like Nev is like done with Scream. I mean, if she's just like, if it was just like that, then she's like, something had to have really gone down, because sometimes, Hollywood will say, oh, we're going to say that it was this, it didn't reach your salary demands, but it easily could be something else that we don't know. And for Nev to walk away like that, she's never done that with any Scream film. Like it was always hard to get her back for all, for Scream, 4, but and I had no idea she had that bad of an experience on the fourth movie as well. I had no idea. And now David Arquette and Courtney Cox were going through a divorce at that time. They were always arguing and fighting on set, so that probably did make it fun for Nev, filming that movie. Um, and that could have really been a big impact on her, was what was going on with their relationship, their marriage. Um, and maybe Wes Craven, he just was, you know, kind of done with the series, because you could tell by Scream 3 he was kind of, I think he was done with Scream by Scream 2, to be honest, when it comes to a directing standpoint. Because he put, to me, like, he put the most effort into the first two films, and I feel like after Scream 2 he just kind of got, you know tired, because it's a big series. Scream 4, I love it, but I don't know. Who knows what was going on behind the scenes? Kevin Williamson only wrote a draft of that script of that movie. It wasn't even, he didn't even write the full script of that film. Um, so you had Aaron Kruger come in, and and not a lot of people were happy about that because he wrote Scream 3. Um, and To me, that's what explained, certain issues with the film, was Aaron Kruger. But yeah, I thought Wes Craven did a really good directing job. The only problem I had with that movie, to be honest, was the cinematography. It was not filmed well. Had all these dark colors. It was like full of like blacks and like dark lighting. Like it was hard to see certain scenes. I remember even being in the theater. I'm like, What did Ghostface just do there? What did that actor just do? What? Like I was just kind of like, what's happening? I remember that projection when I first saw it. I'm like, what is going on? It was so dark. And if you actually look it up on Google online, other people were experiencing that when the movie came out, like the projection, because 2011 was the transformation of film projections into digital projections for movie theaters. So um, I think that's probably what explains it. Um, and then they were talking about movies were being half shot in film and digital back at that time, the early 2010s. So that also could explain certain projection issues. But it was, yeah. Um, but it was great to see it. That was my first Scream movie I ever saw in the theater. But anyway, about Nev Campbell. I feel really bad about this situation. I don't know what's happening. I'm just kind of speechless. Like, I didn't visualize her character in this movie anyway. I sort of thought that um, Scream 6 was gonna be about uh, this new set of characters and Gale, and it was gonna be about them. And then Scream 7 would be about Sydney, and and also this new cast of characters. So for me, it was like Scream 5 was Dewey's movie, Scream 6 is Gale's movie, and then Scream 7 is um, Sydney's movie. I thought that's kind of what the outline was. So I was surprised that even Nev was coming back for the sixth movie. Because I thought they originally didn't even plan for her to come back for the sixth film, only for the seventh. But apparently she was going to have a major role, and I wonder how that impacted the writing. No wonder there's a production delay because these writers have to go back and change how much if she was, if she had a major role, you know, and a lot of actors have spoke up about um, that it didn't reach her salary demands, saying it's sexist, um, uh, a lot of stuff. A lot of people are mad. Um, and it's because Nev Campbell is Scream, you know, and Ghostface, but Nev Campbell is the star. She's always been the star. She's Sidney Prescott, and they can't continue Sydney's arc forever, but that's honestly what has made this franchise work for so long is Nev Campbell, and Courtney Cox, and David Arquette, but mainly Nev, like, she just brings, something to this character that we don't normally see in a final girl. They usually all play like the victim, and Sydney is very much like, screw that, I'm a survivor, I'm gonna fight, and that's why people love Sydney because she's identifiable, she's likable, and you care about what happens to her, and it makes you care more about what's happening in the story uh, than it just being Ghostface's after people. People aren't necessarily, I guess that doesn't sell as well as when you have a main character like Sydney and Campbell playing her. That's where you have people wanting to go to the theater and wanting to go see these movies because they know if Nev Campbell's in it, it's going to be good. It's going to be something awesome, you know? And that's what uh, and now we're seeing that, maybe Scream 6 isn't possible without Nev. They have to include her somehow, and now I've heard some rumors that, she might be back because she's worked things out with Spyglass, and they actually did pay her, what she demanded. So, we'll be finding that out, probably really soon if that's true. So, yeah. I think a nightmare show would work great. Imagine what they could do with the dream sequence now. Yeah, with like even if it look what they do at Stranger Things. Look at like all that the effects that they can pull off now for TV, you know. So imagine what they would do with a nightmare series on HBO Max with Robert Englund, Like could you imagine, you know, like I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Because I don't know, I feel like maybe that's the issue that the Nightmare franchises ran into a lot, is it can only be an hour and 30 minutes, and I feel like the Nightmare storyline, you can't wrap it up that quickly. I feel like you have to make it longer, and you don't want a 3-hour movie, but a mini series would be awesome. I don't know, my opinion. Nightmare on Elm Street works really well, but now Blumhouse wants to sell the rights of Michael Myers to some studio, Paramount, and then they want Freddy Krueger and Jason. I don't know if that's rumors or if that's true. Um, but that would be interesting. But if Michael Myers is going to go to Paramount, then and Jason goes to Paramount, you know. But then here's the thing though, there's so many copyright issues with Jason's character. Like whatever studio gets Jason Voorhees, it's going to be a miracle. It's going to be a big deal, you know, because the rights issues that have gone on with the Friday films has been, the most brutal thing has ever happened to the horror community. Is the whole Friday the 13th situation? 'Cause I love Friday the 13th, and a lot of other people do, and it's way too great of a franchise to be in such a mess. You know, I just want a good Friday movie. That goes back to the '80s nostalgia. Just make a Friday film that has that old. Shoot it in like 16 millimeter film. And give it that old grainy film look. Have it be set in the '80s. Have all the characters be dressed in '80s clothes. Uh, Give it the look of like the first four movies. Or just pretty much the Paramount films, and give it that style and atmosphere and mood and feel like a lot of how the video game Friday 13th video feels. Give it that, and just bring people back to that old, you know, days of the Friday films. But then, of course, slightly modernize it for today's audiences, of course, because you have to. But you know, hopefully they can find a balance of pleasing, um, new generations and then previous generations of with the Friday film. I don't want to see a Platinum Dunes reboot, all over again. I want to see a classic Friday film, you know, and to see Friday scenes shot like the old movies and to have that style and that music, but then like the gore is like more brutal than the old films would be so cool because the MPA would butcher those old Friday films. And just imagine you're in cinema watching a Friday film that has that nostalgia and look and feel of everything of those old movies, but then the gore is like not censored, like you get that brutality, so that would be very interesting to me, if they could do something like that. I'd love an A24 take on Friday 13th or Nightmare. Same. After you know, X, um, they could easily I think they could probably do something really cool. But I think I'm gonna probably get off this live stream in the next 5 minutes or something. Unless I should keep going. um I feel like I've live streamed for a good length, even though it's only been an hour live stream. Some people live stream for hours, but I have a lot of editing to do with the movie, and yeah. But this is awesome. I love talking to you guys. It's too bad that you're the only person that's in here talking and nobody else is. I don't understand that. You know, and like I schedule my live streams too. I don't just go live stream. So, but it's the summer. It's probably the reason though. If we were in the fall or winter, I think that there would be more people. So, seems like we had some lurkers tonight. Yeah, yeah, people that were just watching me but not saying anything. Which that's the internet. You have to deal with that. People watching you and then not saying anything. Could have been my ex, who knows? Could have been one of my exes. Oh, anyway, uh, do you have a Xbox Series S, X, or PlayStation 5 Mario Mania? Neither. I'm not really a video game person, but my brother has a PlayStation. Okay. Well, I'd recommend the Series S, because it's only 299. I think it's a little cheaper now, but it's an all digital console. It's got Game Pass, where you just pay like a subscription, which isn't that bad at all, and you can play hundreds of games and not have to buy one, which is what's so amazing about it. Um, so if you ever want to get into next gen gaming with everybody, like the Series S is like perfect. And I have a Series S. Like that's it. That's all I need. You know. I think I'm gonna get a PS5 in the future. I hope they come out with a PS5 Slim. That would be the best. But yeah, I'm not like in a rush to get a PS5 right now or anything like that. And I have an Oculus Quest. So I have like an Oculus Quest 2 and an Xbox Series S and an Xbox One X and a PS4, you know. So, but anyway, there's just a lot of games coming out. Like an Evil Dead video game just came out that's really good that I still have to yet to pick up. Um and and they're coming out with that Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game next year, which I'm really excited about. I love that trailer that came out for it. Um, Kane Hodder did all the performance capture for Leatherface in this game, so it's just really exciting that there's going to be, um, you know, a Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game, and it's from the same people that made that Friday 13th video game. You know, I'm really excited, and that's coming out next year. I don't know when next year, but it's coming out soon, so that's really exciting. Um, but I don't think we're gonna see a lot of next gen games, a lot of next gen games till like in the next year. I think 2023 will kind of be like the start of like next gen games instead of everything being on the Xbox One and PS4 and everything. It's there's gonna be more exclusive to next gen, I think, once we get to 2023 next year, especially 2024. Um, because it's always like the first couple years when a next gen, consoles come out that like the previous gen is supported, um, and or games are still available for like the previous gen. Um, so they've been doing that forever, but so I think that we're gonna get more next gen experiences in the next year or two. The Friday game looked really cool, if I remember right. Oh yeah, yeah. I play it every once in a while. I got into Dead by Daylight a lot, and if you go to my Twitter page, I have a lot of Dead by Daylight captures, a lot of videos that I made, and that was a lot. That was a lot of fun. Um, uh, I didn't get into Dead by Daylight when it first came out. Was it 2015 that game came out? I didn't even know what it was. And then it was introduced to me last year, and I'm like, "What is this game, Dead by Daylight?" And I started playing it, and I'm like, "Wow, this is fun." And I play more as the killer than the survivor, even though playing a survivor can be fun. Um, it's just like all the characters that you can play. Playing as like Michael Myers, Ghostface, Pinhead, um, the Legion, like all these characters in Dead by Daylight, like are their own characters, and then like movie characters. Um, they have like Stranger Things in there, and they bring Stranger Things back in the Dead by Daylight, and it's just a really cool game. I love the theme, and it's probably my most played video game ever. I rarely ever like play a video game that much. Like any new video game that comes out, I'll play it story mode. I'll play some of it's online. I'll unlock things, but like Dead by Daylight, I would just like continue to play it like for hours because it just thought it was so cool because there's no other video game out there where you have all these characters in one game, you know? So to have Leatherface and The Ring, and Pinhead and Michael Myers and Ghostface and, you know, all those characters is it's just like, whoa, Um, and then even their own characters is just so cool. Um, but that's a video game that I've loved for a long time. Um, but the Friday 13th game is a lot of fun. It's not as fun as when it first came out, and also the studio wasn't able to update the game and make changes to it because of the copyright situation with the Friday series. So that was I think that's what sort of hurt the game a bit. Was is is that and I feel like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game is going to be like more successful because there's not going to be all this like the rights issues kind of stuff. I don't feel like they're going to go in. They're going to run into that like Friday the 13th. So they're going to be able to do more, and they're going to be able to update the game and give updates. So um, but yeah, I feel like there's a lot more games to look forward to next year than this year. So um, now, Stranger Things that just came out, the new season. I thought that was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. Um, and wow, never knew about any of those. Shows how much I know. LOL. The Obi-Wan Kenobi show was pretty good. I think it started out pretty slow, pretty rough, but then it got better. Especially when you get those last two episodes, it like enhances that whole season as well. Um, Even though I think the Obi-Wan Kenobi show would have been better as a movie, as like a 3-hour movie rather than a mini series. Or it's not really a mini, but the 6 episodes. I think it would have been better as a movie. But it's cool to see Ewan McGregor in like 6 episodes of a Star Wars show. That was pretty cool. Um, and let's see, think of any other TV shows. Well, yeah, well, biggest show that's gonna be this year is Chucky season 2, you know? Um, and then, what else, this year for TV? Um, I don't know, can't think at the top of my head of any other big horror shows that are coming out, but I'm sure there are. I'm not sure if there's a slasher, season 4. I would love that if they came out with a slasher season 4. And Black Mirror, I wish they'd make a new series of Black Mirror. That's such a good show because it's so just you know. Um, so Yeah, it'd be cool if they, continue that show. It's too bad that it's just kinda like, I don't know. I mean, are they done? You know, was Black Mirror done, or are they ever gonna come back? You know, certain shows that, you just wanna see more of, and yeah, but. Now Halloween Ends, have you heard the rumor about Halloween Ends? Can I talk about the rumor? Anybody know the rumor about Halloween Ends that just came out? Well, okay, so there's a rumor that came out. Now, nobody wants anything spoiled, uh, even if it's already spoiled for me. Don't don't listen. But basically, um, Michael Myers. There's this rumor, you know, that Michael Myers is killed in the first 15 minutes of the movie, and it's from the like mob from Halloween 4, and it's he gets killed in the same way he did in Halloween 4, but like instead of like in Halloween 5 where he wasn't where he like didn't die from the dynamite and explosion, he will die with dynamite and he'll completely blow up, and it'll be a Jason Goes to Hell, opening where Jason died, like Jason Goes to Hell where he just died in the very beginning of the movie. Apparently that they're gonna do the same with Michael Myers. So I guess they're pulling a Jason Goes to Hell Final Friday with this movie, at least from the rumor. And then I guess the rest of the movie is going to be Allison with her PTSD and becoming like another Jamie Lloyd and being like the next Michael Myers kind of thing. And she's going to kill Laurie and everybody. Um, and it's because of her PTSD. Um, Apparently, that's like the rumors that are coming out about the movie uh, lately, and that's maybe explains why they went back and did reshoots. Because maybe people at the test screenings weren't happy about that, seeing Michael Myers die in the first 15 minutes. So they're like, "Oh," so maybe there's a lot more reshoots that they're doing for this movie than they announced. Um, because I think that would make a lot of fans angry if Michael Myers died in the very beginning of the film. So yeah, he's in the movie, but you know, that sucks. I mean, it's kind of like if he's only in it for 15 minutes, why was Halloween Kills then? Right? Why not just wrap it up with Halloween Kills? They could have added that extra 15 minutes on to Halloween Kills, and it could have been the last movie. It's 15 minutes. Like, come on here. This is Michael Myers. This is his franchise. This is his series. How do you do that? Now, I guess H2 sorta did that with, like, Laurie, where, in the theatrical cut, it was Laurie that did all the kills in that movie, and it was just her imagining Michael, and he really did die in the 2007 film. Um, I just have a feeling that Blumhouse is I hope not that they're gonna do something like that with, Allison. They're gonna make her, um like Michael. And I feel like that if they are gonna make Allison the killer in Halloween Ends, then they're gonna pull like hallucinations where it's like she's imagining him as she's killing the characters, so you get to still see Halloween 2018 Michael in the movie with the kills, but it's actually her. Um, I feel like maybe that's what they're if they are killing off Michael Myers in the first 15 minutes, that rumor, I'm talking about a rumor here, um, but if they are, then that easily that's what that means, that Allison will be the killer of that movie because of her PTSD, losing her boyfriend, her mom, almost losing her grandmother, losing all her friends. She's completely gone crazy. They wanted to go the Jamie Lloyd route, of Halloween 4 ending and pretty much do that. And, maybe every time that she kills, it'll show Michael Myers and she's imagining him. So that way you still get like Michael Myers in the movie, you know. But I feel like we're gonna get that in like nightmare sequences, and like they're gonna do like something different that's never been done. Um, and maybe because it's Halloween ends, it's the last movie, they don't care that Michael dies in the first 15 minutes. But I feel like that's gonna make a lot of fans angry. I could see some people walking out of the theater, honestly, with that happening. Jamie Lee Curtis did say it would make a lot of people mad. Yeah, that would make a lot of fans angry. Um, it's Michael Myers. Like, how do you make you can't make an entire Halloween film without Michael Myers, you know? I mean, okay, he's in the movie, so at least we can say, yeah, he's in the movie, even though it's 15 minutes. But how much is he even in that 15 minutes? First of all, he could easily only be in 5 minutes of that 15 minutes. And then that means that he's only in the movie for 5 minutes. Like, this is not good. Halloween Ends, what people wanted was like one last, like an H2O, right? There's a build up throughout the whole movie. Michael Myers is in hiding, right? And then he comes out, in Halloween 20 in 2022's Halloween. And then that's where like the town of Haddonfield is ready and prepared, and he actually gets taken down and Laurie actually, like ends him, and there you go, Halloween ends. And I thought maybe there was going to be something where Laurie dies with him, because she says in Halloween Kills, the only way he can die is if I die too. So you think, okay, that's sort of foreshadowing what Halloween ends, where she's actually going to do that, and it's going to be in the third act and the big finale, and it's going to be what Resurrection should have been, where Laurie dies in the third act of the film, and it's at the end of the movie, and it's heroic sacrifice. That's what people want with Halloween Ends, and they want it to be super suspenseful and well written, well directed, well put together film, and uh, they don't want that where Michael is going to be dying in the first 15 minutes, and then oh, Allison, it's Allison, and I think they already tried that with Rob Zombie's H2, and that didn't do well at the box office from what I can remember. That movie only made 33 million worldwide. Um, so I feel like if they do go this route where it's not Michael Myers, the box office for this film is not going to be good. It's going to be a massive opening weekend because Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills did a great job, and a lot of people love those movies. But there was already people that have problems with Halloween Kills, so if they mess this up, this movie's not going to do well, and uh, it's definitely going to backfire at the studio if they, them doing this, because like you cannot do anything stupid with Michael Myers. You have to get it right every time. You have to make sure that Michael Myers, like, all right, you can talk about the problems that Halloween Kills has, but at least Michael Myers is taken seriously in that movie, and he's in it the whole film, and he's intimidating and scary, and you feel like you're watching a Halloween film regardless of how much you like or don't like it. Halloween Ends, you know, when I read that they said it was going to be more personal story or something, that it would mean that it would just be less gory and more on the characters, you know, uh, not, Michael dying right away. Anyway, All they had to do was stick the landing. Hoping it's not true, honestly. Yeah, yeah. That would just suck so bad. That would suck. Maybe, the studio thinks that people would like it. Maybe because people love Season of the Witch. But here's the thing, Season of the Witch, um, stands on its own. It's not connected to the movies. It's its own universe. That's why people like it, because they can separate it from every other Halloween film. But with Halloween Ends, if they do something like this, it's connected to the original timeline of the first movie. And to me, it makes less sense because Michael doesn't have any relation to these characters. It's not like it's his niece in this new timeline, even though it wouldn't be his niece, it would be his great niece. But it would kind of make more sense if they were related. To me, that would help explain more why Allison would become like Michael. Um, that's why the Halloween 4 ending worked, because it was like, oh, that's Michael's niece, and she dressed like the clown throughout the whole movie, and it was like setting that up. Like Halloween 4 had a proper setup for that, and there is no setup in 2018 or Kills that Allison would become like Michael Myers. You know, In the last movie, she was all like, "Yo, we're gonna take down Michael Myers. We're gonna hunt him down and put an end to this." I can't see Allison in 4 years becoming like Michael Myers. It's just, maybe it's the actress, I don't know, but you don't feel like her character could go that way. Um, I see Allison's character suffering PTSD for a long time. I see her happen to repeat senior year, probably like because of what's happened to her. And then she goes to college and she, starts over. She tries to start over. That's the kind of character that Allison is to me. That's what she feels like. Um, she doesn't feel like that kind of. She's not that kind of actress that you feel like she could be. She could play a villain or she could play bad. And maybe that's the point. You know, but I don't know. I do worry about this because, especially if they talk about it's the last Halloween film. Well, certainly a studio is going to do something with Michael Myers if he dies in the first 15 minutes. They're definitely going to do something. But all right. Anyway, I think I made a long enough live stream. No, nobody's really come in here tonight and chatted. I guess I'm becoming more and more irrelevant. But yeah, I don't buy that either. Seems like a weird writing decision for the character. Yeah, that just wouldn't be smart. But I'll live stream again, and I'll talk, of course, more about movies and shows and all that. I'll talk more about Double Servants. I'll talk about, all that stuff. Probably won't live stream until next week. Probably something like that before I go to Ocean City, Maryland. And thank you guys for joining my live stream. Thank you, Mario Mania. It's a pleasure always. And I'll talk to you guys very soon. So, all right. Happy Tuesday night, guys. And enjoy the rest of your June. All right. Talk to y'all later.